I was in story time. My husband and I were returning from Mexico to Texas after a business meeting, and we were at the airport in Cabo San Lucas. It was really crowded. This is early post-COVID, so there was still chaos. The airport didn't quite know how to manage it. There were just people everywhere, and it was just chaos. We're in a line to check in and check our bags, and it was moving slower than molasses. And I am not good at math, but I could tell that at this rate, we were going to lose our flight. We were going to miss our flight. And I didn't want to get stuck and you don't want to get stuck in a country when you need to get home. So I thought about, what can I do here? What do I have at my fingertips I can do anything with? And I realized that I'm in line, and I'm going to really piss off the people in line if I try to jump in front of them. The first thing I did was I checked in with them to see when their flights were. People right in front of me, when is your flight? Oh, we're scheduled at 5:30. And I said, we're trying to get out of here at 1:30. Do you mind? And they're like, no. So I did that with a couple of the people in front of me. And I had a thought in my mind. I thought, we've got to make that plane. We are making that plane. I made a decision in my mind that we are going to make that plane no matter what. What I did is after I checked with the people right in front of me in the line, I went straight up to the podium where the airline worker was there, and I talked to her. I had terrible Spanglish, but I used some of it to try to just make the connection. And she was clearly overwhelmed. It seemed like it was her first day on the job. She was overwhelmed and seemed confused. And I said, excuse me, we have a plane that leaves in 30 minutes, and we need to get on that plane. How can we make that happen? And she said, well, it's impossible. The plane has already left. And I showed her my phone with the status of the airplane. I said, it actually hasn't left, and we just need to get checked in. We're already checked in. We just need to check our bags so that we can go in. How can we get that done? And she kept saying no, and I kept coming back to, how can we get this done? Not, why aren't you helping me? Not, this is always what happens at airports, not the angry outburst. What worked was me to continue to say, how can we get this done? How can we make the plane? And then as she was continuing to get overwhelmed, I said, who can we talk to that can help us make this happen? And she had a manager come over and help her. And I showed them all of our credentials and all the things they needed to see that we're valid and that this is really the flight we want to be on, and we're already pre-checked in, etc. And she and the manager and me made it happen. And while I was getting that done, my husband was holding her spot in line, and there was a man behind him who, when he saw me leave the line to go talk to the worker at the podium, he said, you're gonna let your wife do this for you? And here's what's so funny. My husband goes, oh, just watch. He knew I was gonna make it happen because I do this kind of thing regularly. And so I'm not saying it always works. I'm just saying I had the belief that we were going to make it happen, that we were going to make that plane, and I checked with the people in front of me, and then I went and made it possible for her to help us get that done. And we did run through the airport holding our shoes and running. It was not pretty at all. And then we're sweating. When we finally got there, we did make our plane. We got home. That wouldn't have worked if I'd been, look, we've been in line, blah, blah, blah. You know how we all start off thinking that we're frustrated and we want respect or to be heard or whatever. I didn't do that because that doesn't work as well. I partnered with her to say, how can we work together to get this done? And again, doesn't always work, but it has worked a lot of times to take this very approach and be very clear on what I want. I just want to get on the airplane. I don't need you to tell me I'm right. I don't need validation of anything. I just want to get on the plane. The prime directive is get on the plane. And that has been very effective in life for me. And so I want to find out, is that something you guys have experienced yourself? Have you tried this sort of thing? What have you observed in life about people's expectations of how others are going to respond to them actually occur? Because it's really easy to focus on what feels unfair, what is not going our way, what feels disappointing, and why. Why is it easy? This is just sweat running down. It's really hot. See the rosy cheeks? It's just because I'm hot. It's natural blush. I got to go in a minute. Thriving, surviving. And if you like thriving and you like the idea of helping others thrive, wear thriving on your body, wear it with pride. That's what I'm doing right now, and I encourage you to do the same. And if you like that, then please follow and check out my link and go look and see if there's a cap you want to buy, a shirt, a hoodie, a gratitude. If that's something that maybe you want to send to somebody as a great gift, feel free to do that. What's nice about that is if you buy something from ThriverSurvivor.shop, is a percentage of those sales all go to bladder cancer research through Bladder Cancer Advocacy Network. It's a good win-win sort of situation. Back to the story. It is easy for us to stay in frustrated, disappointed. It's not working out. I've made 500 calls to these people and they're still not getting back to me. An example would be you meet somebody at an event and you get to talking to each other and you realize there's an opportunity for you to do some research with them, and that's going to benefit them and you bring that up as an idea. You have a very interesting conversation about this, and the person says, for sure, 100%, I want to look you up. Let's connect after this event and let's make this happen. And you go, great. And you're so excited because that sounds really, there's a lot of buy-in, they're committed, you're committed, and you think this is going to be a great win-win for both of you. And you start reaching out afterwards. And they go, I 100% want to do that, and I can't right now, but call me next month. And you keep getting the push off, and it starts to feel like they really don't want to do it anymore. And there's two things I want to say about this. One, we can have the intention, 100% true intention of wanting to do something in the moment when we're having a conversation with somebody, and really mean that we're going to take action and make that happen. And then later, in our super distracted world, that starts to float down lower on the list. You still intend to do it, but urgency from all those other things come in and they sort of hijack that topic. Because we're so distracted, we have good intentions and we don't always get around to doing them. What I'm suggesting is that when things like this happen to you and it feels like disappointment is settling in, this opportunity to work with this person, say, for example, isn't going to happen because they're not responding. I want to remind you that you still have this power to help people help you and themselves. Thinking about what's in it for them, why do they care, what do they get from this concept of working together, the reason you want to talk to them. Constantly keep in the front of your mind and in your communications what's in it for them. But keeping that in mind, even if it's not something you say, can make all the difference in how the communication goes. My encouragement, my challenge to you would be, if you've got something like that going on and you would like to see it come to fruition, but you're losing hope because you're not hearing back from the person you're following up. You've followed up like 100 times. There's a saying in sales, keep following up until they buy or die. And what that means is until they say no, absolutely, never, then there's still hope. In this case, what I'm saying is if you've got, taking this example of the potential project that you want to work with somebody on, they were so enthusiastic and yet now you can't get them to return a call, then resist the temptation to feel disappointed and to accept defeat. Your brain wants you to do that because it thinks it's helping you feel safer. And just say thank you very much to that part of your brain, your amygdala, and say, I appreciate, I know you mean well, but I'm going to make this happen. This is happening. And you feel that deep in our souls, and it can make all the difference in what actually happens. It's almost, what is the word? It's almost mystical. I don't know if that's the right word. It defies logic in a way, how effective it can be to harness the ability that we have to impact how other people respond to us. In this example, I would say, hi, it's me. And, God, I was so excited back in January when we were talking about this event. And I know a ton of life is happening and it's all so busy. What is the next best step? And I like that because it's only one thing. And you just need to keep the conversation going. You don't need to close the deal, as it were, in that next conversation. You don't need to convince them of anything other than keep in the conversation. And if it feels like a small enough next step, then they won't feel as overwhelmed and they can be more present and take action. Try that and let me know how it goes. Ciao for now, Thrivers.